Hey YouTube, welcome back to Ray's Rides. We are back at BMW Wollaston in Northampton for bike review number 5 of the series. Easter weekend, going out for the whole weekend, going to have lots of fun on the R1300GS Trophy ASA edition. Right, hit the road, see you in a minute. So, welcome aboard BMW's R1300GS. This one that we're on this weekend is the Trophy edition, so it's in the blue and white, which is probably my favourite colour, to be honest with you. We've just left Wollaston, so I've done about 10 miles. We've had a bit of a downpour, but roads are drying up now. We're just gonna head out. My initial impression, I mean, it's a GS. It feels absolutely normal. What is different and does take a bit of getting used to, but a positive thing actually, because I really like it, is obviously the ASA, or the automated shift assist, on this bike. So basically there's no clutch lever on there. So Will at the dealership told me before I left, the bike does learn your riding style and it will sort of adapt and change gear accordingly. It's I'm sure there's some kind of trickery on there, but yeah, I don't actually notice it changing the gears. The gear changes are very smooth. It does a bit of a blip on the downshift for you, but actually the only time it catches me out, but not in a bad way, is when you come to stop. I have found myself reaching for a clutch lever that actually isn't there, but as I say, you'll get used to that pretty quickly. And I always thought I wouldn't go for an ASA, and that's when I brought my GS Adventure. I thought I'd stick with the clutch. I think I wish I would have test rode one, because to be honest, I think I probably would go for an ASA. It's one less thing to worry about, but there's a tiny piece of me that thinks, does it take away the experience of riding the bike? But I think for me, I'm going to say no, it doesn't actually. It's a rider aid and it helps, to be honest with you. And I thought, yeah, like you say, I thought it was going to be jerky starting off or stopping, and the gearbox doesn't change gear when you want it to. But seeing as you just pull away, and depending on how you vary the throttle, it will kind of just change gear according to your riding style, I think. So yeah, if you're a little bit more aggressive with the throttle, you can see that the revs do rise, but the minute you ease off and the bike knows that you're not calling for that power, it will just change straight up into top gear for you. What you can do is basically leave it in drive all the time, and you can just use your gear lever to change down, and you can see there it will just go down and it will stay in drive for you, and then obviously as you accelerate it will change up automatically for you as well. But you can manually override that without doing anything, just obviously by changing gear with your foot as normal, but you just don't use the clutch because there's no clutch lever there. The other option is you've got this D&M button, which is your drive and manual, so you can press that and it will put the bike into manual mode for you, and again you can go through the gearbox, and obviously in manual mode it just means that the bike won't automatically change up for you. It will change down. If you watch here, it will go down into first gear, or second because we didn't quite stop, but being in manual it will just sit in that gear until you give it some input from the clutch lever. So I genuinely think you got the best of both worlds here, and yeah, if you are thinking about getting a GS or a bike that does have the ASA, just go and try both at your dealer and see which one you prefer. I don't regret buying my GS Adventure with the clutch. You know, bikes have had clutches for a long time, but actually I quite like this ASA, because you do get the best of both worlds. The other adaptation to this bike as well, which maybe in hindsight is something I wish I would have went for, was the ride height assistant. What I do notice is I can firmly plant both my feet flat on the floor with this, and it does give you a little bit more confidence, especially if the bike is going to catch you off guard. And trying to catch 247 kilos if you're off guard does give you that kind of reassurance to know that you can flat foot on the ground. But anyway, we're going to head off, jump on the M1 to do a motorway blast down the junction, just so we can test the wind protection. And then, because it's a GS, we are going to pop off out the back of Silverstone and find one of my little unclassified roads just to test its off-road credentials, which as a GS you would expect would be impeccable. Yeah, for the windscreen, obviously on the motorway, it's not too bad to be honest at the moment, but if I just bring the windscreen up, if you heard that on the mic, but it does tend to take a lot of the wind blast away and just make it a little bit more comfortable. So I think if you're doing a long stint on a fast road, it's quite handy having that windscreen in the upper position. Okay, so I don't know if you remembered from my F900 GS review, but we're going to go and do this little unclassified road that links two little villages together, just to dab the GS's toe in a little bit of light off-roading. I picked this up from Wollaston, and obviously all my bikes get a race rides clean, but I picked this up, it's absolutely filthy, so it's going to get it clean anyway, so a little bit of extra mud on it won't do any harm. There we go. A few lumps and bumps, but nothing that the GS can't handle. GS completely confidence inspiring. I think having the ASA as well, it don't think it takes away the control of kind of clutch slip or anything like that as well, because to me and how I ride, which is just a normal guy, I haven't noticed any difference, kind of what I'd class as a little bit of light off-roading with the ASA gearbox. And the plus for me on this is having the automatic ride height as well. Coming to a stop, if your feet are kind of, you know, tippy toes or anything like that, firmly flat-footed on the ground. I'm going to head off home for today because I've got the bike for the weekend. I'm going to give it a clean now, and then tomorrow we're going to we'll do the walk around, and I'll give you the stats and the prices and all the packages on the bike. And I think actually, because there's so many options and additions for the GSs and the GSAs, I'll do what I did with one of my previous reviews. I can't remember which one it was. It might have actually been the 900 GS, but or the GSA, but I'll get you onto the BMW bike configurator page and I'll go through all the options there, because like I say, depending on what model of BMW you buy in, each one has different packages and different specs with those packages. So as if by magic, we'll hop across to that configurator page now.
And I've put this in because I've had a couple of comments on some of the previous videos that I've done with people saying actually it's really confusing, so thanks so much for kind of explaining it. And with the R1300 GSs, there is a myriad of different options, and I just want to kind of whiz through this as quick as I possibly can without boring you all to death. So you see here you've got three options of GS 1300. So you've got the base model there, then you've got the TE version, and then you've got the TE ASA. Now the TE version is what BMW package up and bundle up most of the packs that you would probably want on a bike, and they package it up as a TE and sell it here in the UK. So there's a big difference between the GS and the GS TE, but the GS TE and TE ASA, the only difference between those two is your automated shift assist. So I'm going to pop into the ASA one because that's what we've been riding here. And what I will say is, before you start, when we're talking about the packs, don't assume that, say, a comfort pack on a R1300GS TE is the same as a comfort pack on an R1290 or something. They are all different. So if you're not sure, just go and check with your dealer. So first of all, you get your TE ASA and you get it in the base light white. We'll add the GS Trophy colour. Now with that, you do get some additionals as well. You're not just paying £870 for the paint. You get your, I think you get the cross-spoke wheels. In fact, if you click there, it will tell you what you get. So yeah, you do get an option of wheels. You get cross-spoke wheels by default, and then you get a comfort rider's seat as well. So we'll add that pack. Your option 719 Tramontana or Tramontana, that gives you that nice green and gold paint, and it also gives you sort of like the option 719 cylinder heads, brake levers, foot pegs, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in actually blinging your bike up as well, then your 719 Tramontana is the one that you're going to go for. Or you can get your triple black, and the triple black and the GS Trophy, slightly different accents of the bike, but effectively you get the same sort of thing in there. So, and there's three things here that I would say are probably worth adding, and they are the comfort package there, and that will give you your, or on this trophy model, that will give you the larger screen, the pillion package, which gives you the comfort seat, the grab rails there. You get your center stand, and you get some kind of hand guards and wind deflectors as well. But you can see that the dynamic package and the touring package is already added, and it's part of the TE. And your adaptive vehicle height control, which will lower your bike by 30mm when you come to a stop. So we'll go ahead and add that, and that works so well you don't even think it's working. I had to stop the bike and manually operate it to check it actually works. It's pretty flawless and clever how it does it. And then finally, for me, what I would add would be the riding assistant, which is here somewhere. There you go, your riding assistant. But what that will do is give you your radar cruise control. It gives you your blind spot detection in your left and right mirrors, just to let you know if something's coming up behind you from the left or the right hand side. You'll get a little orange indicator, so it's a good visual indication for you. And then what it does is give you the emergency brake assist on the front, so if something pulls out in front of you, it can probably react quicker than what you can, so it will help you slam the anchors on the bike effectively and slow down and hopefully avoid a collision. And finally at the back as well, let's say something's coming up and it hasn't seen you, what it will do is detect it. It will flash the rear indicators and brake lights simultaneously. You'll get a flashing warning on the TFT screen in front of you, and I believe that it will give you some haptic feedback through the handlebars as well, just to try and alert you that something's flying up your backside as well. So that is what I would add. If you've got any queries, because once you've put your bike order in, it very quickly goes into production, and then it's extremely hard to add or remove anything. So any queries, or if you're not sure, just speak to your dealer at your local BMW Motorrad dealership. There you go. Let's get back to the video.
So I'm going to show you something with the active cruise control and the ASA. So gonna go around this roundabout without touching the throttle or the brakes at all. So I've got my mate up in front, and you can see the bike is slowing down, although if it does drop under 30 mile an hour, it does want you to intervene. Well, actually maybe it doesn't on the automatic. So round the roundabout, and there we go, accelerating back up, changing through the gears automatically. So I love it. It's a brilliant system. And there you go, sitting at a comfortable distance just beyond the vehicle in front. Top marks for that. Brilliant. Well, good morning, welcome back to day 2 of the BMW R1300GS bike review. It's Easter Sunday, so happy Easter to everybody. And it's 9 o'clock, but I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning, charging up the GoPro batteries, getting ready to kind of get on the road as soon as possible, reviewing all the specs for the walk around and things like that. And that tells you how excited I was to kind of get back out on this bike for Easter Sunday, because there's not a lot that gets me out of bed at 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning, but this bike did. So I think that's quite a good synopsis of how to sum the bike up. But I've got a full day today on the bike, but I'm not going to be doing much more filming. I just wanted to kind of finish off with summing up the bike and then obviously just doing my usual walk around review. So to me, this GS, I'm gonna say, is perfection with everything that's got on it, and this particular model with the spec, it's perfection. It's my opinion, and if it's not complete and total perfection, I'm gonna say it's 99.9% perfection, and that's how this bike makes me feel. And I know there's going to be people out there saying, well, you haven't compared this, you know, try riding a Multistrada V4 or you know, or a KTM Super Adventure. So I've been riding 30 plus years now. I brought my first GS in 2006, and yes, it was after the Long Way Round series and things like that. But to me, the GS always feels like you're coming home. So you always get excited about going on holiday and things like that. You have your fun for your 2 weeks, you know, and that will be driving around on a Ducati Multistrada or whatever bike. But then it's always nice to come back home, and that's, you know, you come back home from your holiday. That's the feeling that I get with this GS. So I've always got that comfort factor. I'm always yearning for it. And I still think that the GS is the best-selling adventure bike of all time, and other manufacturers always pitch their adventure bikes against a GS, and this is the one to beat, and I still think it will be, and it will retain that kind of status, I think, for years and years to come. So yeah, you can't argue with the sales figures. And whenever I'm out and about, or I'm touring or on a holiday or something like that with my mates, you see a row of bikes coming towards you, you can pretty much guarantee that if there's a group of 4 or 5 bikes, at least 3 of them are going to be a GS. So they come past and there's a GS, there's a GS, there's a GS Adventure, oh, and there's a KTM, and then there's another GS and another GS, if you get what I'm trying to say. So we're going to go to my walk around review place, give you the specs of it. Obviously I'm not going to go over in detail because I've done that on the configurator page, but so we'll just go over the basics of it, and then yeah, I'm going to wrap the video up and enjoy the rest of Easter Sunday, and hopefully we won't get any rain today. So I hope you've liked the video. If you did, like and subscribe to the channel, and remember, if you're local to Northampton and you're interested in a BMW GS or any GS in the bike range, pop down and see Will at Wollaston Motorrad in Northampton. And other than that, we'll see you on the next bike review.
First thing I'm going to show you is getting it on and off the centre stand with a bike that's got the ride height control. So the bike's off, the ignition's off, everything like that. And obviously they're quite a heavy bike anyway, and you can get it on the centre stand with a good shove. But to make it easier, if you take it back off again, pop it back down. So if I switch the ignition on, so without starting the bike, and hopefully this will come out on the video, but if I now put the centre stand down, the bike will sort of raise itself, so it sort of brings it up onto the centre stand automatically. Hopefully you saw that, or at least you heard it, and then it makes it a lot easier to get it on the centre stand. So don't huff and puff by getting it off the centre stand or on and off the centre stand if you've got the ride height, just switch the ignition on and the bike will sense when the centre stand comes down, and it automatically raises it up, which means you've got less weight to lift up in the air. So top tip.
Okay, something else I wanted to show you. When you turn the bike on, starting the bike up with the ASA system, it's not just as simple as turning it on and pressing the start button, because if I don't have my hands on anything at all, you can see the bike actually goes into P or park mode, which is actually quite a good security feature, because it's just like a automatic car that's in park, and if you try to push the bike, it actually locks it in gear and you can't push the bike away. So I think that's quite a good security feature of the bike. But anyway, so if I just go to press the start button, obviously there's no clutch to pull in, you don't get anything, and you get a little message there that says actuate the brake to start the engine. And what that basically means is put your foot on the brake, so or pull your front brake in basically. So if I pull my front brake in, if I press the starter once and let go straight away, the bike then just goes into neutral and you can wheel the bike around and all that kind of stuff. And if you turn the bike off, it still stays in neutral and you can wheel it around. It's only when you come to a stop and you turn the engine off, it will go into that park mode. So yeah, if you're kind of washing your bike or wheeling it around in your garage or whatever, you can just pop it into park and freewheel it around. So just turn that back on. Okay, and you can see that it stayed in neutral. So to start the bike, again, same as you do on all the other bikes, obviously you'll normally pull a clutch in as well, but pull the front brake in and press your start button. So this is the bit, until you've got used to the ASA system, that you'll go to pull the clutch in and put it into first gear, but obviously there's no clutch on this. So again, if I don't touch anything and if I just put the gear lever down, it's telling me again I've got to make sure I activate the brake to put it into gear. So I'll hold in the front brake, I'll pop it into gear. What it always does, every time you turn the bike on, it goes into manual mode, so that means you've got to manually change up and down with your foot, but obviously there's no clutch for it. So if I drive off now, it will basically stay in first gear until I decide to change, like that. Okay, so just come to a stop. So yeah, when you start off, when you've put it into gear, always goes into manual. Before you start off, you can press your little drive and manual button and you'll see that change to drive, and then you can just drive off and it's basically in full automatic mode. You don't need to change gear. Obviously what you can do is manually intervene with your foot as well, so I can go up into fourth and it will do it, or I can go down the box as well and it stays in drive mode. And there you go, BMW ASA, good system once you got used to not having a clutch.
Okay, quick 5-minute walk around review of the BMW R1300GS. I've talked earlier in the video about what you get with the packages and the colours of the bike, so I'm not going to go into that again, but basically you've got 4 colour options. You've got the base light white, you've got the triple black, you've got the GS Trophy, which is this colour here, which actually I think is probably the nicest colour, or you can go for the all singing all dancing option 719, going to pronounce this wrong, Karakararum, which has got all the options 719, cylinder head covers, brake levers, brake pedals, clutches, all that kind of stuff. No clutch on this one though, because it's the ASA. Anyway, standard GS 1300 boxer twin engine. So these particular bikes now, I think, well, they called them the 2024 model, but they came out October, November 2023. So I'm not going to say they're brand new now because they've been around nearly a year and a half, but this is BMW's latest incarnation of their fantastic GS. So it's a 1300cc boxer twin engine, kicking out 145 brake horsepower with 149 newton meters of torque. With that, there's so much torque on there, no matter what gear you're in, and even with the ASA, you just twist the throttle and the torque will just whisk you up to speed pretty quickly. The wet weight of the bike is a claimed 237 kilograms. The suspension on here, as I say, depending on what package you go, it's whether you get the dynamic ESA or not, but regardless of that, on the front you've got the new Evo telly lever that I think gives you about 190 mil of travel, and then on the rear you've got the Evo paralever system which gives you 200 mil of travel, I believe. Standard 19-inch front wheel and a 17-inch rear, and again you can get the standard cast wheels, you can get the spoked wheels, which is what we've got on this, or you can go for those fancy forged enduro wheels as well. Brakes up the front, you've got a twin 310mm Brembo, actually BMW branded, but you can see at the back there, made by Brembo. And then at the rear you've got a 290mm single disc. Stopping power is absolutely fantastic on the bikes. Seat height, you're looking at 850. This is a standard seat height. I'm 5'10", and even without the ride height doing its fancy thing, I can get both my feet flat on the floor, and then with the ride height, when it drops down, I've comfortably got both feet flat on the floor with some leg bend as well. 19 litre fuel tank, filled that up yesterday, and it gave me a 230 mile range. Obviously that will change depending on how you ride the bike. And then something that I wanted to show you, actually, the top box. So this is the standard BMW one. Unfortunately it doesn't fit a full face adventure helmet. You can get it in there, but you can't close the lid on it. I think if you've got a standard road based helmet it may just fit in there, but yeah, unfortunately won't fit a full face adventure helmet there. Okay, so what do you get as standard equipment? So this is without any packages or anything like that at all. So you get the tried and tested 6.5-inch TFT screen, comes with all the connectivity options and everything you can probably need. You can hook your phone up to it, you can hook your sat nav or your connected ride cradle up to it, anything that you kind of need. LED matrix headlights all round, and obviously you've got this light here which I think at the start everyone was saying it was a little bit controversial, but does a really good job of illuminating the road. And as I say, yeah, full LED headlights and indicators all the way around. You get daytime running lights, dynamic traction control, this list goes on and on and on. ABS Pro with your 4 riding modes. Hill hold control comes as standard on the GS, which is really good. Dynamic brake control, you get dynamic, well they've called it dynamic cruise control. It's not adaptive, but it's basically cruise control. Adaptive is an additional option. Tyre pressure sensors, keyless ride, heated grips, which is great, and as always BMW heat grips are one of the best on the market, I think. Smartphone charging compartment, that's basically this little option here, and oh, there's the key. And then underneath here there is a little USB A input, I believe, and you can stick in a little charger cable there just to leave your phone in there, charge up while you're on the go. Obviously connected to your TFT screen, and it will give you basic sat nav directions if you're connected Bluetoothed to your phone, so you don't need the connected ride navigator device if you just want basic directions on your phone there. And then finally you get your handguards here with the integrated indicators on there, so that's great. Just have to be aware that if you are doing some off-road stuff and you accidentally drop it and this falls on here, you are looking at a few £100 to replace that, because it's got the integrated indicator on there, so it's just something to be aware of. But yeah, other than that, that's the bike. I've been thoroughly impressed. I'm going to get back on the road and not waste any more of this Easter Sunday, and we'll see you next month for bike review number 6. Bye for now.